LaMalfa for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we're becoming painfully aware as Americans, energy independence is vital to our national security and our everyday lives. America needs to embrace a true energy policy that supports every type, from natural gas, oil drilling, nuclear, hydroelectric, and the other renewables. We cannot simply declare that some methods of power generation are off limits, like the Biden administration and others have been trying to do to natural gas and oil. Energy production of all kinds is important for rural economies, which provide jobs, income at the farm level and at the wildcatter level, tax revenue, etc. Take California, for example. We are the leading state in biomass production, right? Our crowded forests, untended for so many years due to policies of the Forest Service getting sued to not do anything before or after a fire. So in my northeast part of the state, we have millions of tons of waste biomass just sitting on our forest floors, dry, decomposing, turning into CO2, waiting to be part of the next catastrophic forest fire, which we see happening in overabundance. The Dixie Fire in my district last year, 1 million acres when a tree fell into a power line. Using biomass is a win-win-win for everybody. It brings local jobs, putting our workers in these rural towns that are suffering economically for years due to the shutdown of this timber industry, basically, putting those folks back to work, tending to the work that needs to be done to have forests thinner, cleaner, healthier, and less fire-prone. But as we continue towards green energy and strict carbon and environmental regulations, which only recently began, we're seeing that other forms of energy are not being available too. Nuclear energy is a serious alternative energy source. Really shouldn't be alternative because it's CO2 free. It's been around for a long time, but for some it isn't politically correct. California has one remaining nuclear reactor, one at Diablo Canyon, not too far from San Luis Obispo, where my tie comes from. Diablo Canyon takes up only 900 acres of land and provides nearly 10% of California's energy portfolio. Almost 10% in one power plant. And they want to take it offline because it's not politically correct. And of course, in California, it's responsible for 23% of our carbon-free generation, if you want to play the carbon game. In a state that faces rolling blackouts to our grid every summer, every time the wind blows, because we don't want tree branches falling into power lines, we can't fare without 10% of energy provided by nuclear power, which doesn't have that threat. Nuclear power plants are cheaper to run than most, even accounting for managing and disposing of radioactive materials, which there's ways to deal with the radioactive leftovers too, if we can just get to them. Nuclear power is consistent, 24/7. Unlike solar and wind, it's available all the time. It's not affected by the clouds or lack of wind. Solar and wind power do have their place in our portfolio, but we know we can't completely rely upon them. You can't build enough batteries to store enough power without having mines in Africa taking advantage of kids' labor to put them in place. When a wildfire inevitably rages, like it has year after year, sends thick black smoke into the air, our solar panels are obscured by ash and screened from direct sunlight. So the solar and wind systems just don't put out what they need to in order to have a modern grid. So our state has already inexplicably banned the sale of gas-powered backup generators. What are people supposed to do at their homes? When they take away backup generators that are gas-powered, what are you supposed to power them with? A battery? Ridiculous. One of the most critical sources of renewable energy along the entire Pacific Northwest is hydroelectric generation. It accounts for about 12% of our state's total portfolio and is the cheapest form of renewable energy available. It's about 50% the cost of nuclear, 40% the cost of fossil fuels, and 25% the cost of using natural gas. Yet it faces numerous obstacles as well. They want to remove the dams. They're calling it the largest ever dam removal project they're so proud of, it seems, up on the Klamath Basin, up on the Klamath River. 4 dams, the J.C. Boyle, Copco number 1 and number 2, and Iron Gate, are scheduled to be removed if they have their way. That will take renewable available 24/7 power to over 70,000 homes offline. It'll have to be replaced by miles and miles of solar panels somewhere else or windmills chopping up birds someplace. Why do they want to remove this? Because of political correctness. They hope that maybe it'll help the river have slightly cooler water for salmon spawning.
Gentleman's time
maybe 1
has
degree,
expired.
But it won't really work that way because it's going to unleash all sorts of silt and hurt the Klamath River. So one thing after another, we have to find a reliable
The
energy
gentleman's
source.
time has expired.
I yield back. Thank you for your time.